of chilly. But I'll put a sweater on. It's not quite so bulky. I've had that coat on all day, and it's like getting undressed to take it
I
off.
like that sweater.
I like it too. It's cozy. Oh, we're live. Okay.
We're live.
I wonder if anybody else
If
remembers
anybody
that.
else is alive.
Audrey will be here.
Probably.
Yeah.
If
Audrey.
she isn't, I'd be worried. Right?
Audrey, wake up! Or stop eating.
There's a few people that I think are pretty regular.
Yeah, we've got a few regulars there. Yeah. Okay, there's Evelyn. She's the first one to say hi. Mary Lou. Are you guys all keeping up with Twyla?
A lot of them are.
I know. Hi, Shelley.
Right? A lot of them are.
Debbie Hill's on. Debbie Hill.
Hi, Debbie.
I was talking to Debbie Hill yesterday, and I literally hung the phone up in her ear because I looked and it was 2:04, and her interview was supposed to be at 2. I didn't even say goodbye. It's just hung up. There she is. There's Audrey.
Debbie must be on the countdown for her retirement, right?
She is.
Like
yes.
a major countdown now, I think,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like not too much longer.
So she lives in an apartment building, and she gets access to the main room downstairs for sewing gatherings.
Oh, nice.
I know. So they got
Very
like this
nice.
sewing group there. It's pretty
Very
cool.
nice.
Hi, Susan.
I hate to say hi to people because
I know,
I'm
because
not
I feel
sitting-
like Diana's there.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Kendra, Jill, Lynn's there.
I'm
Lynn-
loving
Lynn's-
this snow. We've got a little bit of snow. We got more snow at home than she's got here. And I am
Yes.
loving this. It's wonderful.
Last market coming weekend.
Then I will plan my attack. Who are you attacking?
Hopefully it's not us. Oh, this Friday is her retirement.
I knew it was close. I thought it was before
That's-
Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Oh, Janine's.
man.
Janine's in the other room
Janine.
saying, hi, Janine. I haven't seen you for a while. I'm just finally kicking Janine home. And Wendy. Wendy was here with her car and helping us load.
Heard. Nice.
And it was a big help, Wendy. Thank you so much. And so was Laura Rose. So Laura Rose we just got rid of her around 4-ish. So yeah. Debbie says it's snowing hard in there.
Well, it was snowing down home when I left, but then as I came up here, it wasn't doing so much. So it's hard to tell what it's doing down home.
So Lynn is a week behind because she does have a good excuse.
She does have a good excuse.
Her husband's not well.
She's being a nurse.
She's
this week,
not
right?
well. Lynn's not the best
No, I know,
either,
but
and
she's
so
being a nurse,
and a lot
too.
of family issues. So Lynn, we're praying for you, and hopefully this will all be behind you real soon.
Okay.
We're gonna get going.
We are. So this is week 5.
Here's Wally saying hi.
Hi, Wally. So this is week 5, and we have 4 blocks. No, 4 different patterns.
They're not a block.
But one of them you make 3 blocks out of the same pattern. So I don't want to say 4 blocks because you're sewing more than 4.
Okay.
But 4 different patterns. 3 of them are easy peasy. 1 we're going to walk through
Oh, that's scary.
and sew through.
Oh, that's even scarier.
Okay.
If I gotta sew, this is number.
This is
1.
number 1. It's called a cartwheel block. And this one is done in quadrants. And all 4 are exactly the same. So
you don't have to worry about.
about sewing anything on the wrong side.
Okay.
So you have one of these. So these are 2.5 by 4.5, the long pieces, and these are 2.5-inch squares. One of your long pieces, and this one will be the color, and one will be background with just the opposite sewn on. So
Wally's calling me Debbie. He never calls me Debbie.
So if you have your 4.5, just make sure that you sew it on the correct end, that you don't like stick it on the wrong way or whatever. Go by the picture, and I can't do this with my screen.
Okay.
So
sorry. We got flippies for Lynn.
we've got flippies because she loves them, right?
Yeah.
So there you're going to put your, and I pressed it so we wouldn't have to sew. And you're going to sew, you see that that's matching,
You pressed it so we didn't have to draw.
right, or sew.
You
And
don't-
then once you sew it, see, it's going to look like that, right?
Right.
Once you trim, you're going to sew on that, and you're going to trim here and press it open. And you're going to do the exact same thing with the light one.
Except do it with a dark.
except do it with a dark, and your light one, I can't do this side too, is there. And when you sew and trim and flip it up, and then sew those two together. So it's easy peasy. Whoops, I got that wrong. See, I can't do this backwards. Yeah. What if I got backwards? I got to have it up there. That's what I got backwards. There we go. Like that. There. Okay. Like that. That's and you're doing 4 of those. Yeah, but then when you get them together, it looks like a weird block like that. But once you sew them together, with a little twist, you get that look. So that one's easy peasy. So you make one of those, and that's an 8.5-inch block when it's finished.
Lynn bought the corner pop ruler. I think that's to help with flippies.
Oh, Lynn got it. So funny what some people
don't like,
or what they struggle with, or whatever. Like, and it's always different for different people, right?
Mm-hmm,
like,
for sure.
It's funny.
It's you for borders.
Don't even. I hate borders.
And it's me with binding.
And I love to bind.
Yeah, so we're different.
This is our second one. Another easy one.
I think you make it too easy for Audrey.
Oh, you wait. The last one will be a little more complicated. So this one, it's easy in the fact that all 4 are exactly the same. You just have to, again, pay attention. Whoops, let's use the colored one since it's a colored one. So these are 4.5 inches. Your squares are 2.5, but your flippies are going to, you're going to sew this one on. Trim it and flip. And then this one, it's like parallel. So this sewing line and this sewing line run parallel. They do not run like this, like they do in a flying geese. They run parallel. And I'm upside down backwards. There we go. So sew, trim, and flip. And then put your 4 together. So easy peasy.
All right.
Okay?
Somebody messaged the other day and wants to know if you were thing 1 or thing 2.
I don't know. I don't know whether I'm coming or going most days. Okay, this is the third one.
It would, Bonnie. It would make a beautiful border just in itself.
It would. Block. Very nice border. Very nice.
This is a cute block.
So this is the one you have to do 3.
3. Well, that's going to slow Audrey down.
So the one thing I want to point out here is in the directions, for anybody new, I talk about strip piecing. So for each block, if you look at the, let's do this one because then Deb doesn't have to cover her face. So if you cut according to what I tell you in the directions, you're going to cut a really long piece of, well, not really long, but a long piece of this and a long piece of this. And then you're going to sew those 2 together in a strip. That's strip piecing. Then you're going to subcut this into the size that you need, and you're going to get your 4 out of it to make those 4 pieces. Easy. But what is interesting about this block is like this, it doesn't look like a churn dash. But if you were to put your dark in here and your lighter one out here, it actually looks like a churn dash.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Oh, cool.
So I put that in the pictures. So see, when you have your light, it doesn't look like a churn dash. But when you put the dark in there and your low volume out here, it looks more like a churn dash.
So they could make it a
so
churn
you
dash.
could do it whichever way you want. You do whichever one you want.
I like them both. You could do one of each. Or 2 of one and one of the other.
Yes,
they don't have to be the same.
You could.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that and you don't want to do a low volume, you can just put your background here and do a churn dash. Like turn it into a churn dash. So just do color placement on blocks. Absolutely amazes me how you can take the same block, switch out your color placement, and some of those blocks you would never even know it's the same pattern when you're done.
I wouldn't have picked out the churn dash.
Yeah, but there's some night I'm going to do another one because I talked about that one day in a past video, but I've got some really good examples of that where you can't even tell it's the same block just by switching around your color placements. It's amazing.
So Debbie Hansbecker wants to know how many weeks do you have left?
I don't know. I think there's at least 8. It might be 9.
More?
No, altogether.
Oh. So about 4 or 5 more.
Yeah, like we're about halfway through.
Okay.
Yeah. But then the setting week and stuff is
I'm
going to
be
take a while.
broke with the scraps of fabric given to Audrey if I got to do 8 more weeks. She keeps winning them all.
I know, she's speedy. Okay, so this last one is the trickiest.
Of course.
So that's why we're going to sew it.
You're going to make me sew that.
Well, not the whole thing. We're going to cheat. I've got some pre-done. So this is your block. That's your block.
That looks nice from afar.
So that is a 10.5 by 12.5.
That would make a nice border.
That would make a very nice border. So that you're going to start by making this piece in here and then just put these strips on after. So this piece in here, when we are all said and done, we're going to make it bigger and then we have to trim it down. And we're going to trim it to 8 by 12.5. Not 8.5 by 12.5. 8, but we're going to talk about that and I'm going to show you a few things. So get my gear.
I gotta sew, huh?
Well, you gotta... Not a lot, because I've pre-sewn. It's just a couple things that we got to show at the end that I want them to understand how they're going to lay this out and cut it and offset it. For those who haven't sewn a lot, right?
You mean me?
No, not you, Dingledore.
I haven't sewn for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Well, I guess it was our last video.
I haven't sewn much either. Pretty busy. Busy. So, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to...
Joe Max says change up who gets the prize.
to the 3rd or 4th person to post. That's a good idea.
That's hard to keep track of. It's hard to keep track of the first one.
So, we're going to start by doing that centerpiece.
Yes.
Right? This piece down the middle. So, if you look at that, you can see that there are 4 print blocks with a background block sewn on the end of each. So those are 2.5-inch squares, and you're going to cut the background piece 2.5 by 3.5 because you're going to have to trim down. So the one thing I want to show you is you're going to start by doing strips like that. You're going to make 4 or 5 strips, but do not sew them together like this, which is your first instinct, right? But you can't. You've got to offset them so that they look like this once you start. So, do you see what I mean by offset?
I do.
So you're not doing your typical where you line everything up even on the end. You're going to make stair steps coming down here. That's how it has to look, like a stair step going down. Okay?
So you just butt your block here and there.
So, now I'm going to take this so that I can put him down there because we're going to do a few things. Here. Yep. Okay, guys, I'm going to move you. So if it makes you dizzy, you got to...
Okay. What do you want me to do?
So, we're going to start with at least 4 or 5. Now, if you are a beginner, you may find it easier to do complete full strips and have more waste.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to. And why? Well, I'm going to show you in this picture what I mean. When I get to it. Turn that page, please. So, can you see that up here on the top, that isn't even a full strip. I just have 2 of the colored pieces and 1 end piece. So if you want to save fabrics, you can do that. But in this, to get my length that I need, once we get ready to square up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full rows and a partial row. Or you could do a partial row down here. So all I want to do is I want Deb to show you how to line up this next one. Here. We're going to do a partial one to show you what it looks like if you do it. There should be a 3 one there to do next, right there.
Okay.
So let's, that's not a good one to sew it to. Let's sew it down this way, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's still, the colors aren't great on this because this is just scraps. So can you see how she had to move that in to continue with her step look coming down here? You're still going to be able to.
And then I'm going to come in here.
Yes. And you may need one up there to get our squared, probably on the opposite side. Right. But for anybody who's new, if you find that confusing working with partial pieces like this, do your full strips until you get 7. And then you'll have plenty. Okay? So Deb is going to sew those on. And then we're going to show you how to position your ruler to cut that. Let's see. Oh, you're using, Sandra's using Starberry by Corey Loader. That is such a pretty line.
It is.
Very
so this
pretty.
is going to cut right.
Yeah, you're going to go right off it. Yeah. So if you do the partial things, you're just going to sew right off the end there.
Oh, I should have changed my thread there.
Doesn't matter. This is just a test block. It's nothing.
So I'm going to bring this.
So now she's got a stair step again. So you can see the stair steps there. Yeah. And put that there. I'm going to sew that. And then she's going to put one on the opposite side on the other end. Opposite side, is that right?
Oh, no. Opposite,
yeah, opposite
side.
side.
Right.
Yeah. There we go. So I honestly think that if you're finding this confusing, doing the full strips and having more waist is the way to go. Because it's only 2.5-inch blocks and you're 2.5 by 3.5 background. It really isn't big pieces of fabric. So now Deb's going to rub the iron over that because we're going to trim this down and it would be more accurate if it was ironed. Because we know how she loves to iron.
Of course.
Right? Okay. So is everybody confused yet? It's like I don't see any new messages, so I'm wondering. Somebody said it was freezing, but...
Okay, so we're going to go out and cut, or we're going to cut it here.
I don't know if we can do it on that.
No, we probably should go out.
We're going to go out. So, cover your eyes, folks. I've got the cutter and this and this and this. And where is my block? The finished one. You got it?
No.
Well, where is it? Oh, my. Like, how is that possible?
Is that it right there?
No, that's not it. Oh, right here. Right down there. Okay, we're going out yonder. Come along.
They don't have a choice.
No, they don't.
We got to find an empty counter.
Oh, Lynn says we're fine. So I was worried that we were freezing because nobody was commenting. Okay.
I'll hold this and you can cut.
Yep. So the trick to this now is, you did have dark thread, didn't you?
I did. I didn't. Are you going to use this somewhere?
No, I'm not. This is totally a scrappy
Okay.
block. So now we've got to figure out how to cut this so that we have a straight piece that looks like, see how I've trimmed that? And we're cutting off those ends there. So we want the width of this to be 8 inches across. So how you're going to center that is, we are going to judge by these points. This is where your straight line has got to go, is down and those points. So let's get an idea of where 8 inches is. 1, 2. So 8 is over to here. So that is not centered. You guys can see that, right? Because this is right on the point and this one has got almost an inch. So we're probably going to start with about 1/2 inch. So you're going to line up your point. Let's go with 1/2 inch and see. So the 1/2 inch mark on that point, that point, that point, and that point. And the same over here. So this is off a bit, which that's, everybody's quilting is off a bit. Don't let that throw you off. You're going to hit as many points as you can. And if that means that one is not centered perfectly, you don't worry about it. right? So,
Wally, can you come let somebody in? We're doing a video.
okay, so that's probably...
Nora says, why go from 4 to 3 to 2 on one end and then 4 to 2 on the other?
Because we're going to make this a 12.5-inch block. And if we didn't put those on, it wouldn't be long enough. But if we had made this a full block, you're going to have more waste. That's why I said, if this is confusing you, putting the partial ones, do the full blocks and just have more of a waist strip. Okay? That's all I was going, is that this will give you less waist, but you need it for the length. Does that make sense?
Is that okay, Nora?
So you're going to line those up and center it as much as you can. So I've hit the 1/2 inch here. One of them's off a bit on this side. One of them's off a bit on this side, but that's good enough for me. Okay. So you're going to trim down this side. But the other thing you got to take into account, we're going to trim 8 inches this way, 12.5 this way. So in the directions, I tell you that when you're trimming this way, to trim it so that it's pleasing to the eye. And what I mean by that is, you don't want these last two that are going to be part of your block, maybe only having 1/4 of an inch showing, and these last two down here having almost the whole block showing. Do you know what I mean? You want that somewhat even. So down here, this one is up over halfway of this last diamond block is up past the points. Down here, the last diamond block is below the point, so I would just move that up a bit. And when I move it up a bit...
So you have a 12.5-inch ruler, right?
I do. And so if you don't have a 12.5-inch ruler, I would start by trimming these two sides completely first. Get those lines. So we could do that right now. So I centered it that way. First, let's do that and just show you what I mean. So there's your half. So to get the 8 inches, we discovered that it's roughly 1/2 inch on these points. So I'm getting it as close to that as I can on all the points. There's a couple points that aren't great, and we're not worrying about it. Now, some people might, but I'm not. So there's one side. And here's your other side. And I'll just go down there a bit. Okay. So now, this is where, from here, we've got to cut 12.5 inches here.
So it is nice to have a 12.5-inch ruler.
It is nice.
Because you can visually see.
Yeah. But if you didn't, I would use this and just judge for now with this one what I mean by pleasing to the eye. So here's your 12.5-inch mark right there where my hand is. So this block here, it's right about, these last two are right about on the halfway mark. So what am I doing here? Am I on the halfway mark of the last two? I'm not. I'm not quite. So I'm going to go up a bit.
And then it's going to bring this
It's going to bring this down. So we're a bit below these points now. And the 12.5-inch mark here is a bit below those 2 points. So you could start your cut with your small ruler. And if it helps, put a piece of tape or something on the 12.5 here so that you can see where that line is, that's what you're working with. Then just square this up and cut right where you made that cut, like that.
But it would have been easy with a 12.5-inch ruler.
With a 12.5-inch ruler, it's very easy because you're just laying that down and slicing across. But you can do it with this. But I would recommend, if you find it confusing, to go to the 12.5-inch mark and put a piece of like painter's tape or something, or masking tape across there, so that you can visually see in your window how you're trying to center that. So that is not necessarily centered perfect, but those, it's not quite half, and this one isn't quite half. So that's what I meant by pleasing to the eye. Otherwise, this one might be down to Like this one might only have this much showing and this one might have more showing and it's not going to look as balanced. Then all you're going to do is put your borders on, right?
And it's going to look like that one.
Like that. Once you get your borders on these two sides, there's no borders on this side because this block has got to be rectangular, not square. So did that totally confuse everybody?
Well, once they get the instructions in front of them and watch the video maybe again.
Yeah.
It's pretty plain on your
I
instructions.
do think that if sewing the incomplete strips on messed you up, just do your 4 colors and your background and just do more of those complete rows. Like,
and then take your 12.5-inch square, lay it on.
Then measure from your points to get your 8-inch, and it should roughly be 1/2 inch from these points, unless your seam allowance is really like smaller or bigger than mine.
Yeah.
So get a visual and see what you think it's going to have to be, because you want it an equal distance from these points. That's what you're lining up, is your ruler. You want an equal distance from those points. See how that's basically the same width there, right? So it was around 1/2 inch. And don't sweat it if one of your points sticks out further. Like this one is sticking out past. Don't sweat that.
Okay.
Well, unless you're Lynn. She might sweat it and take it
Lynn
out,
or
but-
Nancy.
Yeah, but I'm
Susan
not.
says excellent instructions as you always do.
Well, that's probably the case if you've sewn before. I worry about the new sewers. So if any of
I
you...
think you're pretty clear.
Well,
And your
there
instructions
was an issue this week and I felt bad. So if anybody has any issues, message me personally. Don't message the shop, message me, and I will try to walk you through it, because the shop is busy and they're busy doing their move and everything. So just message me and I will, or if you can't find me to message me, message the shop and just tell them that you want me to reach out to you, and I will
can
do
get
that.
you personally, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what you're doing. One of those. So you're doing one of everything except this one. That one you've got to make 3. The rest you're doing 1.
Yep.
Okay. So should be a good week.
Should be.
Let's see how you make out. Okay. And
But-
next week we're going to be here Monday night, I'm assuming. Is that
We're going maybe in the new shop Monday night. So
right? But we'll be doing our video.
Oh, yes.
Unless
Yes.
something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had said the next Friday night would be at the new shop. I'm not 100% sure of that. We moved a lot today, but with the help of Wendy and Laura. But we might not be into the new shop, so we'll see it.
One of the things you guys got to realize about the new shop is, like, you can plan where you're going to put stuff, but until you get there and see what's working and is there really enough room on those set of shelves for
I'm
what
going
you
in
planned on
tonight.
putting there?
I'm going in tonight to redo everything we did today.
So it's going to be trial and error at first
Yes,
to see where
it
things
is.
go. So.
I called in the forces. I called in Samson. So I think she's coming one day this week or soon. Anyway, whenever
She'll
she
have
can.
that whipped right up.
She will. Anyway, I'm going in tonight. Our grand opening day now, I'm hoping will be a week from today. But we will have a grand opening ceremony. We're not going to do it until May or June, so the weather is good and everybody can come, because we're going to have some really great sales, some giveaways, and a little special event planned for that day. So, yeah. Take pictures. Shelley says to take pictures. Do you want to see the empty room?
She could take pictures of the before and then how it
Okay,
switches.
I'm going to show you what this room looks
10
like.
times.
It's pretty bad.
Go get the rest of my
Okay,
box.
okay, so look. Okay, we are total
Wait
chaos.
till you get in the other
Yeah.
room.
Okay, this is like, look at the bare wall. Here, Twyla checks messages here. Anyway, so this is what's left of the shop today. This was a whole wall of fabric, which is gone. Started in here. This was a whole wall of fabric. Look at the way the paint faded. You can actually see where the shelves were. Oh my glory. And then this room was our boutique room. So the shelves are gone. I still have lots to move, Shirley, for sure. But, so we're going to have an end of bulk sale on Wednesday. So because we had so much stuff, like this is all going to be our end of bulk sale, Katie actually started cutting some of the meters of fabric off so that Wednesday when we do our sale, it will be cut off in meters, but they will be end of bulk prices. They're going to be 20% off. And so, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Look at this. Samson, take a look at that. Oh, my soul. It will be strange to see it back as a house. So this used to be my front door. Behind those patterns is still my front door. So when those patterns come down, the door will surprisingly be there. And this is the entryway to my house. And we actually have closet doors to put back there because that was my Christmas storeroom. Anyway, so
A long time
ago. So we still have lots to do and lots to redo. But we're having a good time with it, and we have lots of help, so that makes it easy. Oh, Samson's on. She sees it. Anyway, so that's it.
So is there anything you wanted to say about Christmas stockings or anything?
Oh, yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
So Christmas stockings, I mean, it's hard to get good help. And I've had Janine all weekend. And, you know, she just, every time I turn around, she's sitting down doing nothing.
Poor Janine. That woman doesn't know how to do nothing.
Janine actually took a day off from her other job to help. And, yeah, without Janine, it would have been chaos all weekend. But we did not get through the stockings. We still have lots of stockings to invoice and ship out. Luckily, we have this new shipping company, and so we don't have to wait for Canada Post. And so we're really blessed with that. But
unless they don't have an alternate place to ship.
If you still have a box number, then we have to wait for Canada Post. But we're contacting each person that has a box number to get an alternate address to ship it to so that you get it for Christmas time, because it's hard to say if Canada Post is going to be back on or not. Anyway, so we are invoicing and doing the best we can do, and we're hoping that maybe everybody will be invoiced by tomorrow, but no promises. Anyway, but it will be there before Christmas. I tell you.
You know what? I bet if you'd got them all done, that when they came to pick them up, they wouldn't have had room to take them all anyway. Because now that it's not Canada Post, it's a whole different ball game.
So
right?
I have to. He will only. This new carrier will only take 50 a day. Luckily, some of you are shipping like 2 and 3 together, and some of them are pickup, and so. But we've had over 300 parcels go out, so it's been pretty busy. Anyway, I think that's it. Twyla's ready to bounce. She's got her coat on. Yep. She snuck away tonight when she shouldn't have. But anyway.
I did.
So that's it for tonight, everybody. Thanks, Twyla, for coming out. And we will see you here Wednesday for our end of bulk sale and our zipper sale. We have lots of zipper by the yard. And it's a really good price. You probably won't want to miss. We're going to post the pictures before the sale in case you want to pre-order it. The new carrier, I have 3 options every time I get the new carrier, and I always pick the cheapest. So everybody's carrier could be different.
It's funny how it's different too, depending on where you're shipping, right?
I know.
It's never the same.
Never the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it for everybody. Thanks for joining, and we will see you here Wednesday afternoon. Bye.